raining today. Anyways, good morning, afternoon, evening, and more night to everyone tuning in. My name is Reignee, and welcome to the pod, reignspod. Welcome to the first episode, everyone. I am very, very glad to have you all here in my podcast, listening to my podcast. But yes, I am officially introducing to all of you me, myself, and my podcast, and I am very, very happy about it. Now, before I head into the podcast, first and foremost, I believe that you guys deserve to get to know the person that you're going to be constantly hearing and listening to in every single episode. Hopefully. Hi, I'm the pod's host, known as Reignee. Yeah, that's my name here, and I also go by Rain, for short, and Renee. I am a self-proclaimed modern-day bard and poet, alongside a chronic overthinker that is still, to this very day, trying her very, very best to fix her sleep schedule, albeit failing miserably. Very miserably. I am also from the Pearl of the Orient, aka the Philippines, so expect me to launch myself into Filipino and Taglish a lot of times, and don't worry about not knowing the language because, look down if you aren't, mayroong mga subtitles dito sa ibaba kung kinakailangan ninyo. These won't be direct translations sometimes because Filipino is sometimes really hard and weird to directly translate, but in a way, you guys will still get whatever the heck I'm saying. Anyways, I also wear my heart on my sleeve, which you'll definitely know as we go through this podcast. Speaking of whatever this is, you might be pondering on the main purpose of this sudden pod that popped up somewhere on YT. Well, it's just really a podcast wherein I talk about whatever I want to talk about. You see, I'm an extremely talkative person, especially when I talk to the walls, ceilings, and crevices of my room. Knowing that, I thought, why not make a podcast? Sure, the audience of my thoughts and ramblings during actual recordings would just be my headphones, earphones, and laptop, and maybe even some future guests. But hey, at least I will also have you, listeners, eventually. So yeah, basically it's a podcast that can talk about anything and everything under the sun. Also, yes, indeed, we'll be having a lot of wonderful guests as the podcast goes on. But for now, it's just me, so hope you won't mind. Furthermore, with this YouTube channel, the podcast will be accompanied by lots and lots and lots of other content such as possible and tentative animatics, gameplay, speed paints, and so much more. It's all basically your typical art gamer person's channel, but with that touch of, rain. I thought that making and growing the channel, especially the podcast nowadays, would be just really cool. Especially since, as of now, I'm on summer break. Speaking of summer break, that kind of means that my school year ended. And yes, that is true. It's been done for like a really long time. But before it actually did end, I went through a lot. And this eventually led me to experience a very bad case of academic burnout, which not so coincidentally is our topic for the first episode. You see, the school year, especially the latter semester, before this summer was definitely really tiring. While I was definitely more hardworking, perhaps I was too much of that, to the point of monopolizing work and overexerting myself. You see, I have something that you'd call a quote-unquote martyr complex. A martyr complex is basically a mindset, I guess, that someone would have rather, that leads to that someone always taking work. Taking the most work, and with that, usually the hardest parts of that work. Basically, you take all the load when it comes to group collaborations or just certain tasks that, others can help you with. So basically, you put all the burden on your shoulders when you have a martyr complex. I'll get into something very vulnerable for me here, actually. There are many reasons why I didn't really vent about my martyr complex to my friends, even if I would trust them with my life tenfold. It's very saddening to know that I had this sentiment, but all in all, I didn't believe that I actually had the right or just deserved to talk about this martyr complex with my friends and just air out my thoughts. You see, there was really a time wherein this martyr complex, as I said, led me to burnout. And in a lot of group collaborations, I was leader. And most of those collaborations, I was with my friends. And due to the burnout, which was again caused by my martyr complex, I ended up tiring out, and sometimes, well, eventually a lot of times, I would, contribute pretty good works, but they would be really late. And although that lateness was not super detrimental in the end, during the moment that I gave it, it was pretty bad, and it led to a lot of late nights with my group and for my group. And that was very terrible for me to do as a friend and as a group mate, and of course, leader that they trust. All the more that I was leader. And yeah, due to the fact that I did that, I felt like I didn't deserve to vent out to them, which furtherly led me down this cycle and spiral of thinking that I didn't deserve to vent out to them, and then burning out, and then doing more things that would make me think that I didn't deserve to talk to them. And so it's just a cycle of all of these over and over. It's really hard to explain, but hopefully you get it. Hopefully. So, yeah. Of course, any bad habit has its consequences. And as I mentioned, this just led me to tumble in a cycle over and over and over and over and over. And this led me to just burn out continuously and gradually. And it led me to have really bad attendance because I would be so tired every day, even in the mornings, because I would sleep late. And then I'd wake up really early because school. But even if I woke up early, I would take extra time to sleep, and then, yeah, you know the drill, I get late. So, yeah, basically, this had an effect on my attendance. What else? It had an effect on my friendships, especially because, as I mentioned a while ago, the continuous burnout led me to submit works late, and again, I had this really bad mindset that I didn't deserve to vent out stuff, and this led me to have a lot of communication issues with my friends, most especially. I was isolating myself several times, and again, this led me to burn out more. Ha! So fun, right? But in all seriousness, it was really, really, what's the word? It's like tiring, but like more than that. It's really draining. There it was. It was really draining mentally, emotionally, academically, and even physically. And speaking of the physical side effects rather, I was really fatigued at some point. Like there was this time I got home from school, and it was around 6 p.m. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a nap. I'm so tired after today. I did so much school, and I had like shootings, I had lessons, I had seat works, I had homeworks, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I was basically really tired. So I was like, you know what? Let's take a 10 to 15 minute nap. Nap! Emphasis on nap. So, yeah, I hopped on my bed, lied down, feeling the comforts of my sheets, feeling the fluffiness of my pillows and my stuffed toys, and drifted off into sleep. And, you would think, maybe this, extension of sleep was just probably 2 to 3 hours. And I would probably wake up at around 9 p.m., maybe even 12 a.m. And I just spend the whole night and early morning just working. But no, guys, I slept for 12 hours that night. I slept at 6. And when I woke up, it was 6 a.m. and I was still very tired. And I realized, oh my gosh, it's 6 a.m. I'm fricked, basically. And, I was so worried because I had to do this research for my group. I had to help out. So I was like, why don't I just go half day? So yeah, I was like, okay, mag-half day na lang ako. I eventually realized that I was so fatigued because even if I slept for 12 hours from 6 a.m. from 6 p.m. the previous night to 6 a.m. of that day, I ended up falling asleep again before I did my research. And it was just, it was just a realization that my body was so, so, so tired. And yeah, those are basically, that instance is basically one of the many happenings, one of the many bad consequences that I have experienced due to allowing myself to continuously burn out and embody this martyr complex, martyr mindset again, over and over again. So, yeah, basically having a martyr complex and actually implementing it like what I did last semester is basically crap. That's all I can say to really summarize it. It's so hard. And I really hope that I would grow from this and would prevent myself from having a martyr complex. And I also hope that you guys and a lot of people, whether or not they're listening right now, to not embody this complex because it really is an unfortunate happening. So, speaking from the experience, avoiding and tackling burnout is definitely better said than done. All the tips and all that stuff. In fact, I will most probably be going through it again in the coming years of my academe. A lot of times, probably. Unfortunately. But there are some tips that I can give to you guys and to an extent myself to have a healthier disposition of tackling burnout. Number 1, open up about it to people you trust. Again, one of the biggest mistakes that I did back in my time. But really, one of the biggest mistakes that I did was not opening up about it to friends, even though I really trusted them. And yeah, so I would really say, please do not have my mindset. I repeat, do not have my mindset that would tell you that you don't deserve to vent out. You deserve to. First and foremost, they are your friends and maybe family or teachers and so on and so forth. They are people that you trust in the first place. You trust that they're not going to, at the very least, cut you out from their life right away. Just because you vented out that, hey, I'm burnt out and blah, 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 like whatever, those 3 AM voices are saying. So yeah, basically just talk to them whenever you're ready. But don't allow yourself to just keep it in forever. Take the time to actually get ready to tell them. You don't have to tell them right away, but please, at some point, tell them. I don't want you going down the cycle that I went through. Second of all, don't monopolize work. Delegating work properly would not only give you the well-deserved rest, but would also allow your groupmates and friends, especially if those friends are your groupmates, to grow as individuals in the academe. That is one thing that I really learned because I realized that if I don't delegate work properly and I take almost all of the work, how are my groupmates actually going to develop as people, and how are they going to learn the life skills that they would need in the future years of their academe and just their future years in life? And that was really not necessarily bad, but it was very irresponsible of me to not only give myself all the work and burn myself out, but to also kind of, albeit unintentionally, rob my friends of that opportunity. And number three, which is kind of related to number two, if you're the leader type, like me, you have to be selective of which projects you actually want to take on as leader. I think this is one of my biggest mistakes. Because while a lot of people would say that, oh, Rain is such an all-rounder, Rain has a lot of skills, and I'm thankful. I don't want to boast, but yeah. But what I mean is that even though I know how to do a lot of things, I know how to write, I know how to draw, I know how to create, I know how to organize, I guess, blah, blah, blah. I still had to have this selection of tasks, selection of projects that I would like to take on. And that's something that I really learned because the projects that I didn't really enjoy were the ones that burnt me out a lot. Because at least if the project was something that I was more passionate about, at the very least, if I would get tired, I would just get tired and then I would just take a rest and then, you get back up again eventually. But when it comes to like projects that you don't really want to lead and you don't realize it, but you still take it on, well, you're just really gonna burn out continuously. Yes, most definitely at some point you're gonna finish that project, but you're gonna be so burnt out to the end. So much so that you're an academic crisp. So, yeah, in my experience, I realized that I would prefer to take on more creative projects. Projects that include things like theatrics, creating, and theatrics rather. I'm so sorry for my pronunciation, but theatrics, creating, innovation, and so on and so forth. I would much rather take projects like posters, plays, product creation, marketing, and basically anything that involves a creative process compared to something like, I don't want to say a research paper because I did enjoy creating a research paper with my group for a certain subject. But I would say that research papers are probably on the bottom of the chain. Not really super bottom, but like, they are not the projects that I would instantly want to lead because of the fact that they are so much more technical. They are so much more technical. They are so much more structured and don't really give ways to a lot of creative processes. If it was an English research paper, siguro I would be okay with it. I would be willing to lead. But if it's more like Filipino research paper, maybe not because I prefer the English language over the Filipino language. And second of all, again, a research paper is more technical and it's not a project that has much room for creative processes. So, yeah, you really have to identify those projects in which you really want to lead and organize. And you also have to identify those projects in which you would want other people to shine. Other people that might be more interested in areas that you would probably despise. So, that's pretty much it. Now that we have all these tips, I guess from my experience at least, I really hope that these, alongside, me just rambling on and on about my old experiences from the last semester, I hope that all of these sentiments and insights would help you avoid a martyr complex. Just please avoid it. Avoid it like a crimson red flag. And, just avoid burning out from academics at least. And, at some point, honestly, burnout is pretty inevitable. So at the very least, I hope that this will help you feel like you can bounce back and actually bounce back. What else do I have to say? I really hope that this episode also made you feel like you're not alone when it comes to experiencing such issues and hardships. And I know that it's so hard to feel a sense of solitude during these times, but I really hope that if ever this podcast has reached you, I really hope that you get a feeling of solitude and comfort through it. So that's pretty much it. Thank you everyone for watching this first episode. I really hope that you guys will look forward to more episodes of reignspod, and I really hope, I'm sorry for saying the word hope over and over again, but I really hope that you guys will enjoy the rest of the content that I will be putting out throughout the timeline of this channel, wherever it will lead to. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, if you liked this episode, feel free to comment below and to share your thoughts, share some suggestions on topics, I guess. And if you really liked it, thank you, first of all. Thank you. And you can like the video, maybe subscribe, and maybe, just maybe, even share this video to like your friends. And yeah, thank you very much for listening in the first place. And if you're still here, for still listening up to this segment, and if you want to, interact with me, I guess, more directly, you can follow me on my socials at reignee underscore inst on Instagram, at reignee, I guess, at reignee underscore on Twitter, and at reignee on Tumblr. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the first video and episode of reignspod. I'm Reignee, your host, and thank you very much, and have a great day, afternoon, night, and more night, wherever you are.